Greetings mortals, I am as always the FallenShogun. Today is another Who's That Indie and review, and this time it is Submerged, which is a third-person combat-free game which explores a mysterious flooded city. You take on the role of Miku, a young girl who is looking after her brother who was injured under mysterious circumstances. This brings out the whole point of the game. To make sure your brother survives his injuries, you have to enter the city to retrieve supplies. If you do not go out into the city, he will die. This, however, is not a building survival game. You do not build anything with the supplies you receive. They are entirely about making sure your brother survives. Due to the fact there is no combat, the game is entirely freeform. All about the exploration and the platform puzzle solving, which may or may not give it longevity. It may be one of those one playthrough games. You explore the city in a small single-engined ship, travelling from building to building in an amazingly gorgeous environment. The city stretches out before you, and everywhere you can see, you can go. The scenery is just breathtaking, with some very memorable landmarks. And also surprisingly full of life. Although the life is a little bit different to what we know. The whales and the dolphins are covered in some kind of weird green substance. Although this does not mean they will attack you, everything in the game is friendly. Which means there is nothing to stop you from exploring to your heart's content. The reason you would explore, however, apart from your brother, is to find ship upgrades, which you can find, as you see, from damaged ships lying all around the ocean. To actually find the supplies to progress the story, you need to look for orange cloth on top of buildings, which is broken parachutes. These indicate buildings which are very important. Although you can explore almost every single building you see, as long as there is some kind of greenery growth at the base, with an E indicator on it to show you that you can climb it. Now, most of these buildings won't have supplies like the parachutes do, but they will have hidden secrets, like journal entries about the world, about your parents, or about random things. Exploration is the key to the game. If you do not explore, you do not fill your journal, you do not learn what happened. Although, the learning is a little bit odd. As I say, everything is learned through pictograms. You see a picture, it shows you what's happening, and you have to figure out what those mean. Everything is done in a kind of really childish hand-drawn style, I'd like to say, which I'm going to quickly show through without too many spoilers. I did not do much of the game, and you will not know what most of these in fact mean. Actual exploration of buildings itself takes the form of platforming. You have to climb, jump and move around the buildings, trying to figure out exactly which way to go, with some areas having multiple ways which end in dead ends, or some secret items if you find them. Of course, the bigger the building, the bigger the jump puzzle, the bigger the moving puzzle, the harder it is to actually get to the end and the more entertaining it is. So if you want to find a smaller building, you won't have as much of a fun time, although the puzzle will still be quite difficult. I was stuck on one puzzle for 5 minutes before my brain finally realised what was wrong. Although it doesn't actually matter how you tackle the large buildings, the rations you get from the parachute drops are all the same. No matter what order you attempt them, you'll always get exactly the same order of rations, or items needed to keep you and your brother alive. It is lucky then that you and your brother are alone. Or are you? All of this does combine to make it a very extremely visually impressive game. The water, the buildings, the animals just going about their daily lives, and the puzzles. But it does really feel like an exploration and puzzle only game. Without the element of death, you do not feel any urgency in what you are doing. However, I only spent a few hours in the game itself, and that has to be taken into context. The story may get a lot more extreme further on. Maybe your brother being ill and injured starts becoming a more serious note, which actually forces you out a lot more. But either way, the whole game is based entirely on travelling around this beautiful world, figuring out ways of exploring it, and then bringing back the rations you find on top of buildings. The secondary objective is of course finding out what happened to your family through the stories, what happened to the world, and what happened to your city. The city of which was not named during the few hours I played around with. So in the end it does kind of feel a little bit like an endless traveller, but that could be because it's not my kind of game. If however you enjoy the kind of exploration and beautiful graphics and slight puzzles and jumping, then you'll quite happily love this. I'm sorry that this review is shorter and more different from what I'm used to, but it was kind of very hard to show off the game without just showing the same footage over and over again of me driving a boat and doing the same puzzles, which unfortunately was basically the entire review anyway. The game is out now on Steam. The links of course will be in the description as always, to their Twitter, to their website, and to the Steam itself. If you enjoyed this, as always, like, favourite and subscribe. Support the game by buying it. I have been the FallenShogun, and I will see you another time. Ciao for now, people. Bye bye. Well, kill the rat goblin men things. Everything and nothing.
Shogun doesn't like me staking out his territory.
It's not that, it's just other things that happen.